All right, here we go. All right, guys. So, welcome today to the Iconic Life podcast, where we gather around the virtual table for some real soulful conversations about what it means to live a life of calling, of wealth, of joy, of purpose. I'm your host, Hannah Elsey. I'm the founder of Agora Wellness. I'm a transformation midwife. I'm an overflow activator, a movement builder of a community of visionary women who are choosing to lead and live lives they are wildly in love with. Here we don't do that surface level chatter. We go deep. We talk about truth. We talk about the stories that remind us that we are limitless when we are choosing to walk in our divine purpose and identity. So let's dive in. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Shannon Perry. I'm so glad that you're here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Shannon. So I don't have a formal intro for you, so I'm going to give you the stage. I want you to kind of introduce yourself to us, give us a little about your background, and what you're doing in the world.
Yes. So I am a corporate dropout, number one. Well, I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a health coach. I'm an author, speaker, and also a corporate dropout that left and had to kind of reevaluate what my life looked like and what I was prioritizing back in 2020. Let's see, it was January 2020. My dad was sick, and I had started a health journey in 2018 because work-life balance was non-existent. And I was traveling the globe. I had a very high travel job and was going to Asia like 10 to 15 times a year and just always out in the world and rarely at home. And I was really sick. I was so sick that I was seeing so many different types of specialists, functional medicine, doctors, and lots of gut health specialists, and lots of skin doctors, mental health, endocrinology, all you name it. And it was just all kind of piling up and realizing that I was going nowhere fast. I was traveling the world, but I was, had the dream job. I was a buyer and, designing clothes and jewelry and handbags and all this stuff is fun to the
Yeah.
outside world. But for me, my body was given up. And so I had to reassess what my life looked like. I saw a friend that was getting healthy and I joined her in the mission to help not just myself, but other women to prioritize themselves and their families. And so, yeah, that's kind of how my story has been the last 7 years. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So it kind of sounds like the line of the sand moment for you was more, it was like physical symptoms that were kind of getting you. You weren't feeling aligned. Perhaps is that kind of what you're thinking or what you're saying? Um, so what was kind of, do you have a moment that you can pinpoint where you realized that you were going to choose, like you were made for more and you were going to choose a bigger impact, a bigger life? Like when did that really start to hit home for you?
Well, it hits me every day.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like a pivotal moment that has arisen. I mean, I find just being open every day for God to show what is today look like.
Yeah.
Who can you impact today?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just these little whispers, right, throughout our lives. My mom passed when I was 13. That's also part of my story. And I feel like that was September 27th, 1987. That was the pivotal day that God was like, okay, the rug was ripped out
Hmm.
and here's the world. What do you want to do with it? And
Yeah.
and with me, and I wasn't a follower. I lost my way many years, after that, after 13 being a girl, and losing your mom, it's like, I mean, and I know you've dealt with loss and that's a pivotal moment, right? We're seeing it live time, like with what's going on in the news right now. Like,
For
I mean,
sure.
widows and then the kids, there's such a ripple. But for me, it's the everyday. Like it doesn't feel like,
Just one moment.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think I've people ask me, what does it mean to live iconically? And I'm like, for me, it's it's remembering every day, every moment, right? You're choosing that, remembering who you were created to be, right?
Mhm.
Saying yes to that calling, that impact that we're called to make, and then doing every day the things that build a life that towards that, right? For the overflow with it, yeah. But saying yes every day and every moment to that calling that God has given us, and then doing the movement, the steps to get there. I love that though. But wow, at 13, that's a pretty pivotal moment. You're right. Exactly. Right. Um, yeah, I know for me, walking through loss has been very, probably the biggest transformational moments, I think. Because obviously I agree with you. I think God's always doing things and always speaking to us in a lot of different ways. But those like life altering moments that change the trajectory completely of our life from what we knew it to be, like those can be really pivotal to changing us, setting us on a new destination if we allow it to, right? I always said that we get to choose what we make of it. We don't get to choose what happens to us, but we get to choose what we make of it and what we do with it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So speaking of that, obviously the life that we, live, that it's not as always smooth. There are challenges. So what are some obstacles that, obviously we have kind of chatted a little bit about them, but some that have tested you the most, even in like your adult life, once you made this shift to doing a, bigger impact and dropping out from corporate, that's a big step, right? To like choose to walk away from that. How did that feel for you? How did it feel to you to just like when you decided to like move from
Mm.
corporate to what you're doing now? What was that like?
Scary. It's scary.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing things scared is one thing that I feel like God continues to show me, and He shows up for me in those ways. Now, I still do not like roller coasters, and I will never like roller coasters. I still will never skydive. Oh, I say never, who knows?
Yeah.
But
Never
um,
say never.
never say never. But there's a peace that he gives me in those scary things, like, leaving. I mean, my husband was more scared than any of us, but we had a plan, and we really leaned in our faith in those times.
Mhm.
Parenting, I feel like, is the scariest of all the things. Uh,
Wow, yeah.
I mean, because, and the biggest fear for me was, I know my mom when she didn't want to leave this earth, right? Like, and I can't imagine a world where I'm not here for my kid, like there's no, we can't promise today, and we're not promised today. And so the biggest, I think, is just not shrinking, and just leaning into the fears that are going to be hard to, yeah, leave a job, or, we moved, I thought I was going to break when we moved from Texas to Colorado 4 years ago.
Mm.
It's been the best thing. God is like continuing to show his vastness. I get to look at the Rocky Mountains and
Oh,
bask
wow.
in his
Yeah.
glory. Like, you can move mountains, Lord. Like that's the biggest, thing for me, is just knowing that, we all are gonna go through hard and struggle. Um, but it's all relative too, right? Like my struggles are different than your struggles than anybody else's. And but just keep leaning in.
Yeah. It's a journey that we're called to. Yeah, no, I understand that being out in the mountains in nature in particular, but I have definitive moments I can recall because we spent a lot of time in Colorado. We lived in Texas. We go there quite often. And being in the enormity, the majesty, right, of these like massive mountains and things that just feel like so it puts perspective on life and problems and things like that. 'Cause you're like, oh, and it's such a peace building thing for me, I think, right? And it just like understanding like who I am in the grand scheme of things, right? And that in this vastness and thing that the God of the universe, the creator of my life, still looks down and sees me and cares about my small, whatever issues. They don't feel small to me, but right in the vastness of this, and yet still I'm cared for so precisely. That is just, it's overwhelmingly gratitude and humbleness at the same time. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So, as you've been moving through some of those challenges and things like that, or doing it scared, what are some of the lessons that you've learned, or things that you're building? I think the one word that keeps coming up for me is resiliency. I think there's something to be said for that, for doing it scared, doing it brave, right? I think it does build that. But what are some of the things that maybe you have felt like you've built a muscle for or learned as you've gone through navigating challenges?
Well, one of the things a lot of my friends and teammates, other coaches ask me, um, how do you how do you move forward knowing that people have free will and there's resistance with when you're helping people get healthy. There's you're taking somebody's journey and maybe their pacifier, maybe like my coach realized that I had a lot of pacifiers, and she helped me move through that, and then of course I'm able to pay that forward and help others. But that resistance, people always say, like, how do you help people move through that that resistance point? And really asking good questions, just like I feel again, we do as parents. That's one of the biggest gifts and hardest gifts that we, deal with, is helping our kids move through these pain points. And because we did, right? It's a
Right.
trickle down. And so kind of helping ourselves, I like making a list of pros and cons and just saying, like, what is this? Okay, like moving, okay, from, and it was a job opportunity that my husband had. And so it was like, do we, do we uproot our family and, for all of our friends, all of our faith, community,
Yeah.
and and do that just for a job? And yes, it was a yes, yes, and a yes, because it all, well, emotionally, right? There's facts and then there's feelings. And when you kind of separate that and even break out your pros and cons list into facts and feelings,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I can look at this, and if we do teach our kids to do this kind of more analytical, because we all, we live in a big feeling world, and it is important. Feelings are important, right? They're valid. But there's also facts, and we can know that, of course, then there's faith, right? Which is like, some people equate, they're like, wait, there's facts and then there's faith. And so, but then there's also this merging of the facts, feelings, and the faith all together. And it's a beautiful thing. So I think just looking, and being able to, I feel like, I love visuals. I feel like a duck sometimes. And I just, the water just goes right off the back. And
Ah,
and so if you're, and sometimes, ducks kind of walk funny and slow, and sometimes I do that too. I'm really awkward, and my son likes to make fun of me, but we do funny stuff around the house too together, and just have fun with it, because when you're a duck, that water goes off the back, and you're more resilient than somebody else that's scrambling to find the raincoat. It's like, okay, this
mm,
water's just going to go off the back, and I can deal with whatever is ahead of me.
I love that. That's good. Letting it just roll off. It's a good visual. You're right. Exactly. Instead of getting waterlogged, it's just flowing right off and you keep on moving. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Okay. So in a day to day, every day, what does it look like to you to live this iconic life that you're choosing? Like, do you have specific like practices that you do or things that you do every day that keep you kind of going forward towards your goals and whatnot, or what does that look like for you?
Day to day, there has to be structure. It's one thing that I think I resist the most. I think most people resist structure the most, but it is truly required. And one of the things that my coaching practice, and I help people kind of see, there's patterns, right? We all have a pattern in our day-to-day life. And when we have that structure, it's I mean, for me, it's getting up in the morning, making the bed. I like a lazy makeup of the bed. I know I'm not military with this. I just pull up
But at
the
least pull it up, right?
yeah, and make sure there's nothing on the floor. If there's dishes in the sink or things on the floor, I that's chaos to me. So there has to be some type of structure. And of course, I don't have littles around the house like you anymore. But my son will definitely cause chaos leaving stuff on the floor, even at 15.
Yeah.
But um, there has to be structure. And so starting the day in the word and I usually like to listen. And then I need to touch paper too. So I'm like audible and um, auditory
Kinetic. Kinetic. Is that right? Kinetic? Yeah.
and
That's tangible, right? Yeah, exactly.
yes. And so that is a great way for me to start. It feels like I feel just peaceful that way and in that state of gratitude instead of,
Hmm.
reactive where most people are like, hair on fire, like let's get the
Right.
kids out and everything. Um,
Right.
so that's how I start my day. And it all seems to flow from there.
From the good beginning, right? The foundation of the good start.
And early to bed. So it's the evening
Ah,
and then and again, don't have littles. So
there
we
are
make
phases of life. This is true.
yeah.
But I heard that from, I don't know, I forgot the name of the person who was talking, but it was like, your day doesn't start in the morning. Your day actually starts the night before the time you go to bed. I was like, oh, that's actually really like, it's like a good switch. Like, it's kind of powerful because you're like, oh, because if I am looking to have a good day, then I might make sure I go to bed at a reasonable time. Right. I mean, that depends on, again, phase of life and what's going on. I understand that. But like, instead of, staying out till 2 a.m. and then hoping to get up at 6 and go and do all the things, that's ridiculous, right? It's going to set you up for a bad day. So it's like switch it and your day actually starts the night before. And I was like, oh, that's actually really powerful because it's a mindset thing, right? But it's really like, oh, I'm setting up my day to be good by going to bed at, 10 o'clock or whatever. But that was actually pretty powerful. So yeah, I love that. Um,
Well, and I remember I watched my mom, who was a single mom. She was a teacher in public schools, raising, two girls. She would stay up all hours of the night doing lesson plans. She had a
uh,
lot of jobs just to keep up and not just teaching. She also mentored a lot of youth in the harder neighborhoods. And she would sew our clothes. She would bake everything. She was a home ec and she ended up being a vocational mentor and leader in the community. And I would just see her not getting a lot of sleep and then always struggling with, that 10 pounds, that 15, that 5 pounds and working out like constantly. And then she would go all morning with coffee and then eat grapefruit and cottage cheese.
ouch. Yeah.
And that hurt, like that hurts me now because I'm like, who knows? We don't know what causes cancer all the time, right? It's stress, it's inflammation, it's whatever,
A lot of
the
factors.
body trying
Yeah.
to just figure it out. But I know that the importance of sleep goes deep in, and the roots of it and the importance of it. It's very, I mean,
Life.
it's
Yeah.
life
I
changing.
agree. Yeah, I watched my dad. I said like it was slow death, and that is extremely painful to observe, to go through. For him, I know it was, but it's really painful to watch that,
Mhm.
right? And I think a lot of it was what we didn't know at the time, because like you mentioned, grapefruit and like that was what was put out there as, oh, this is the healthy way of doing it, and yet knowing what we know now about like blood sugar control and all of, like, ooh, it hurts, right? Um, yeah, and I know that seeing that personally myself, I'm like, and even my grandparents before that, right? All the things that we were trained, what we didn't know. So I'm like, okay, so how can I change that in my life and then my kids' life as well, and what they see happening and whatnot, right? And even stepping outside of the food part, even just like you mentioned, your mom had like staying up all hours of the night, having to work multiple jobs, all the things, which again, speaking as a woman who is a solo parent for a long time and the sole provider, not of my choice, right? But I understand that. Like, I'm sure your mom knew she wanted to get more sleep, right? And it's such a hard thing because how could we have answered that? I don't know, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I know for myself there was not always answers for it. I had to do what I had to do, right? Um, but that is one of the things I'm so passionate about. Is like how can we build part of that overflow is that network and that abundance so that we're not pouring from an empty cup. Because I know exactly what that's like, and that is draining, even if it doesn't culminate in cancer or things like that. But it's like your life is just it's hard. It's hard. And I feel for the women and of course men as well, but I just know I work with women and I am a woman and I've lived that life until I understand it. So it's a passion of mine, right? Like how can we change that paradigm somehow, some way? Um, and I don't know there's one answer for it.
Oh, it's a
Right?
whole slew. And that's why,
Yeah,
a lot of people
exactly.
may not ever get there, right? Because it seems so daunting and overwhelming. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way. I mean, I was living the same life, traveling constantly, constantly came back sick from Asia. I mean, every time I came back, I was on a bout of antibiotics and a bout of steroids. And that is not good for the gut, right? We know
Oh,
this,
yeah, like cringe.
my
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
shot.
Ooh.
Yes. So I knew I had to make drastic shifts to be able to be the healthy version of myself, right? And to fight for it.
And there's something there in that statement. I'm trying to think how to like parcel this out a little bit because I think sometimes it might be feel like you feel a little bit guilty that I am able to do something different than
Mhm.
what my dad was able to do or whatever, what have you, right? Like how couldn't that have been for him too? Because he was worth it, right? And it's such a twisted kind of a sense of state of that because there's no I am decided I'm just grateful that God has given me these opportunities and that what I'm doing now is making a difference in the generations coming after me, right? I wish I could have gone back and changed that experience from my father. Sure, I do, right? For my grandmother, for the different, like, of course I do, but like that's not something that I'm able to do this side of heaven. So I know that God had a plan there and I just get to leave that in his hand and not hold on to this guilt. I want to say it's almost like a survivorship guilt, right? But I've heard this from other women as well, right? Like, well, they don't want to it's hard to make choices for themselves or to choose themselves, perhaps, to care for themselves because, well, it, that's not what, like our family doesn't do that or something like that. It's like, wow, okay. But no, we get to still make this choice for ourselves because one, this is life that God's given us to live and He's offering these tools to us. I'm so grateful, right? And then also the impact that we're having on the generations to come. Because I know that the stuff that my dad did, because they did like he did lots of things that were for health and things like that that I learned from and have been foundational for me, and my mom too, right? Um, that have put me on different paths and have led me to this place now, right? So I'm like, okay, it's this whole beautiful picture of all the things going together. It's a all the puzzle pieces coming together. So we're just walking in that moment. But it is an interesting experience, right? Um,
Yeah,
I'm sure you
it
wish that your mom didn't have to do those things either, right? Like all the things. It's like, okay,
I
but
think about a lot of history and right and our history, our lineage, whether, however many generations have been in this country. And I was able to spend, well, two pretty lengthy trips well, I've traveled to a lot of countries and but Africa was one of my favorite places to be in. I feel like I don't know, I mean, it may sound weird, but I feel like I felt peaceful there. I felt the where I was very out, in villages and stuff. And it just feels peaceful, when there's not TVs everywhere, when there's not, things. But as far as, I mean, just like I love thinking of, women in history and, equality and all of that, because I know that's where my mom came from and was working her butt off because, she could at the time, right? Like, oh, okay, what are women doing? They're becoming midwives. They're doing, they're doing
yeah,
this and they're doing that and they're, making the things happen. And it's incredible
we're
historically
able to do. Yeah,
we
no.
are.
Right. We're able to do these things. We're able to have a business. We're able to be a business owner or have a bank account on our like there's so many things, right? I yeah, anyway, it's so interesting, so challenging. Because there's a lot of different facets to all the different things there. But yeah, I do look at like what my grandmothers on both sides, what they had the opportunity available to do. And what we have now today is exponential to what they had, right? And I think it's very important that we do not waste the opportunity that is given to us.
Right.
Um, so obviously we've talked a lot about choosing different lives and doing different things. And you obviously are leading in an amazing way in a lot of things. I know you're a full-time health coach, correct?
Correct.
Right. So tell me a little bit about because I know you've got a beautiful movement that you are impacting, helping impact hundreds, thousands of women, actually, I believe. But what are you most proud of with that? And what are the ripples that you're seeing from the work that you're doing and kind of what's going on there?
Well, yeah, it's the partnership that I have built with my friend who also she was able to leave her career and shift and pivot and make some adjustments in her personal health and then am I frozen?
You are frozen. I can hear you though.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I will unfreeze in a minute. So but the pivots that we're able to make in the partnership with Dr. Anderson, who is a movement maker, he is
Mm.
uh, left medicine to be able to show people that they can choose health, whether it's here I
There you
come.
go. I see.
Whether it's, to eradicate diabetes. So I was also diabetic and had high blood pressure and other, mental health struggles and things of that nature. When we get to partner and link arms with others that are doing big things like that, it is a big deal. For me, I was just like, okay, I need to lose some weight. I need to get my A1C down, and all these things that were happening that was like the immediate, I need this, now.
Right.
But then the 7 years, yeah, 7 years later, it's like, okay, this ripple effect of, as you mentioned, helping so many women to see and men to see that they can do this and prioritize themselves and it's not selfish, right? The movement is it does feel vast. I mean, there's millions of people that have chosen this holistic way of healing the gut, and allowing food to be medicine and
Mhm.
to heal the gut, and so, but the whole thing is figuring out who you are, and that's what I feel like we lose in that busy, kind of stressful go 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 life,
Yeah.
and we lose our sense of self and we don't know what we're feeling. I remember a therapist, psychologist, sorry, that I saw when my mom died, and she kept asking me about my feelings, and of course I was like,
What are you talking about feelings? Yeah.
don't know what I'm
That
feeling.
is right.
And so of course there was massive depression and confusion and loss and anger and all the feelings, but just knowing thyself, right? Like I like the healthy self, which is heal thyself. We when we don't start with our gut and we just, haven't healed that, of course we know it's a ripple down from ripple up from that, from the healthy gut. But this movement is major and it's needed because I mean the statistics are out. Like Optavia is about to introduce a new metabolic breakthrough next month that I'll be on the board of, and the committee of educating those that are struggling with metabolic dysfunction, and the fact of the matter is we can allow
Change,
we can
impact.
Yes, we can make a
Yeah.
huge impact if we link arms. And one person, all it takes is one person, and the 6,000 or however many have come since I came, and then my coach, 70,000 people. I mean, it's incredible what can happen when we just link arms together and say, how can we help the world get healthy?
That's one of my huge things. I say it's like let's do this together because n- there's not one of us can make the only difference, but all of us together making a little bit of difference can change the world, right? Like, so let's link arms, let's collaborate because like there is no. It's funny because people are like, oh, like competition. I'm like that is one of the most
Mhm.
terrible words ever. Like, absolutely not. Like, we could all of us work constantly all the time and still not be able to reach all the people that need to be reached, right? So like each one of us celebrating each other, collaborating, spotlighting what we're all doing. Like this is one of the main reasons I started this podcast. It's because there are so many humans that I have been um, absolutely honored to meet. You're one of them, doing work throughout the world, right? And we're all doing the thing. Like we need to highlight this and get the message out there, right? Like one that ripple effect, right? Like this conversation today may be pivotal in changing someone's life, which then changes their family, which then changes their generations, right? Like it's astronomical what can happen with the little things that we do in every day and the choices that we make to do the right things. It's pretty powerful.
Is.
So yeah, I love that. I mean, you said 70,000, right? Is that what you said with your partner?
Renee is, yeah, she's
That's
impacted.
amazing.
Yeah, just since 2018, like it's amazing how many people are not on medications and have, been able to not just help themselves, but those around them, right? And like you
Yeah.
said, it's that I love that meme where it's like a match and one match goes down and so it misses the rest, but if it's just across, we just keep getting.
Keeps
And
going.
when a woman remembers her power, everything can change. I mean, I worked years and years ago. There was a women's museum in Dallas, Texas, and I was part of a buying team there, and it was so cool to see. Like, I remember Annie Leibovitz was one of the featured artists, the
Oh, wow.
photographer, and
Yeah.
to see how she, photographed specific women and just would pull out like some beauty, in the woman. And I love that that's now my job, that I get to
Mhm.
see the beauty in somebody that doesn't see it in themselves, right? And be able to say like, you're incredible. We all should do that for other women like you do, and impact that way too. So
I love that. Yep. That's amazing. Um, okay, also, because I wanted to touch on this, because I know you are a published author. That was a big thing this year. So tell me about your book. Yay. Congratulations.
thank you. So it was kind of my first stint in just putting something out there. I remember hearing like 3 years ago when Mel Robbins was first talking about the let them theory, and that movement, has been so great for a lot of people um to just let stuff go. Like you can't control these other people, right? And then I started just, working through it myself, and again installing that into my life, the let them concept. And then I was like, where's God in this? Like, where is he? And so my book is called Let Him,
Mhm.
Surrendering Control and Embracing God's Perfect Plan for our lives. And that's how it worked for me. It's a really quick read, and it has 3 questions at the end of each chapter, and that you can sit and reflect. There's a lot of book study groups right now that are around the country, going through those studies. And I'm hoping to go on tour soon, when things slow down here. But yeah, it's incredible what, just God. I would never. I mean, here's my backstory, just between you and me, and whoever's
Yeah.
listening. So I actually left high school very, very early, and would not have seen, because the depression at 13 was very great. And then I went down a really bad, route, bad rabbit hole of, wrong friends and wrong all the things. Thankfully, I did not end up in jail. Woot woot. I was smart enough to divert the police.
That's
Um,
the grace of God.
yeah, no evidence because there's no cell phones. But so it didn't ever, I never thought, okay, I'll be an author and a speaker, and be able to inspire anybody in this lifetime. So it's been really cool to see how God has his plan in place. And
Beautiful. Yep. I love it. Yeah. A masterpiece that he's creating through it.
Mm.
I always talk about like like our life is like a tapestry. Like you think of these massive tapestries are hanging up in like the castles and things like that, right? And they're so complex and so multifaceted and so beautiful and have all the richness of these colors and stuff. But if you look at it, it's not just bright colors. It's not just the gold and the reds and things. There's also a lot of depth to it, the darkness, the blacks and the deep things, the shadows in there. Um, and it makes the whole picture majestic, right? The depth of that highlights the bright. And I always think of that in relation to our life and the hard things that happen and things like that. How if we choose to allow God to use these things for his glory in it, it can create this beautiful tapestry, this masterpiece, right? It's not just the broken parts, it is this beautiful, cohesive masterpiece, right? Um, that is joined together with the highs and the lows, but it makes the depth there, right? And I know you can attest to this, like the hard things that we've walked through gives a depth to our character and our ability to, um, I want to say, experience life in a way that I didn't have before. And I wasn't a shallow person before, right? But going through the hardships gave me such a different perspective and a depth of personhood. I'm not even sure how to describe that exactly, but um, it is pretty amazing to see what God can do out of the ashes, what he can create.
Incredible. Yeah, I love that. And that takes me to so these are two things. Like I know I want to see what you have on your desk that is meaningful for you. So I have this kintsushi, this,
Oh,
the Japanese art.
I was just thinking of that. Forgot the word, so I didn't say it, but that's what I was thinking of with the
Yes.
gold. Yes.
You break it, it's broken, and then you mold it together. And then I have a picture of me in Africa. I went deep sea fishing with a group of fishermen, and we caught this giant 1,000-pound blue marlin
Wow.
and
Uh-huh.
fed the entire community, the village. And those are things that like, and I have pictures of the kids that I met and keep in touch and stuff. But
Wow.
it's incredible, what just yeah, God's glory is so good, so vast.
Yep. And it gets magnified. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was really cool. Oh, I meant to ask you, and said again, Africa, which country were you in? That's what I meant to ask
In
you.
Ghana.
Ah, okay, okay, gotcha. Deep sea fishing. Yeah, that's an experience I want to do, or my husband wants to do, so we'll probably do together. I don't know.
Well,
It'd be
it's
fun.
funny 'cause I went with I was married before and that divorce is rough, but again I was not in a great state of health before, in my 20s. I was still kind of figuring life out, right? And so after a divorce, a woman grabbed me, a friend, and she said, "Let's go to Africa."
Ah,
And she had the same thing happen to her when she went through a divorce. And we went out. She goes, "We're going to get out on a boat. We're going to go fishing with some sweaty men, whatever," she said. And I was like, "Let's do it." And we also spent time there and spent amazing time with the different people in the communities and did some work. And it was incredible. But to get out of your
comfort zone.
situation,
Yeah. Or yes.
like
Yeah.
divorce. And I mean, I had
Yep.
some people know my story, but I, had a broken nose, broken ribs from the marriage. And it was not, again, I was not in a good place and was not attracting good at that time. And, but it was, a time to reflect and journal and just have some space away. And I no kids and all of that. So I was able to do that in my mid 20s. And yeah, it was that was a pivotal moment, but it's the just like I said, the continuum of the moments
Yeah.
that God is like just this dropout kid from from the worst town in Texas, of the worst poorest town, and you get to go and do these things and then pay it forward down the road, right, to inspire others. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, he has created you, and that you're worthy of that calling. And that's so, like I said, so humbling and so grateful. Like this, like overwhelming, like these two feelings, like, oh my gosh. And yet, Like, whoa. Right? It's like, okay. Well, okay. So as we're about to kind of wrapping up here, this has been a great conversation, and I could probably go on for a long, long time because I have lots of questions for you. But um, for the woman or man who's listening, and who's feeling that tug or that call, they know that they are not in alignment where they're at. They're feeling that call to step into the different calling that God has for them. They know that's been placed within their heart, but they haven't yet stepped into that making that choice for their iconic life. What is maybe one truth or statement you want them to hold on to or to remember as they're considering these things?
Hmm. Whew. Well, that's a hard one. I think the word humbling always resonates, and it resonated when you just said it. We all have a purpose, and it really rang in my ears when my son said it. He's like, "Mom, what is our purpose on this earth?" You know, at 11 years old or 10, when however old when he said it, and I think if we all think that and say what is our purpose and what is our calling, you know, because we all have that ability to inspire and to incite, you know, change and transformation. We all have that power within us.
Yep.
And look around and see where that could take place, right? Who could you help, and who needs you right now? Who needs you to be freed up, but have a free schedule, you know, to sit with them after a surgery and tell you things that they've never told anybody else, and who needs you to listen um, uh, to them about their broken marriage, and you know how. So I think it's just looking at your days, and your we don't know how much time is left on
Yeah.
this earth, and seeing who can I help,
Yeah.
and how can I help, and just continuing to say that every day.
I love that. Yep. Every day, who's in your space? Where can you help? What can you do? I have that actually comes up on my I have like a reminder on my phone comes up like I'm at like Lord, show me what I need, what's important for me to pay attention to today. In
Mm,
summary, right? It's a little more wordy than that, but like who am I supposed to pay attention to today? What am I supposed to do today?
mm,
Remind me and show me those things because there's so many things that are coming at us all the time, right? As moms, as working people, as all the things, right? Parents, whatever. Because it's for men too. I keep saying women because that's what I talk to, but this is not just for women. But yeah, so it's like there's always so many things coming at us all the time, and it can get really loud and noisy. And so I'm like, I just need the Holy Spirit to like give me some clarity, right?
yeah.
What am I supposed to, what's important for you that you want me to do today? And that's my little reminder every day. And yeah, I love that. That's really, it resonates strongly with me. Okay, so in closing, I got a few just fun, quick questions for you. What is your favorite food or drink right now?
Oh, well, I mean, I love our Optavia products, but I love our Optavia. It's called a Sen birthday cake bar. It's amazing. So if you ever get your hands on it, you will never go back to eating just, you know, your typical um, like my husband, you know, he's one that loves cake. I mean, I love icing, and I don't love the cake as much as I love icing.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like a little girl, you know, and but he had the bunk cakes, whatever that company is, nothing bunk cakes.
Oh, nothing but
And
yeah.
I would way rather choose our birthday cake bar because it is, you know, high protein. It makes me feel better than the sugar crash of the
Right after a bundt cake.
this thick on the bunk cakes. And then as far as drink, like I honestly I did not like water for a long, long, long time, but I love water. I just love it.
Isn't that funny? Like we were kind of raised on that from young, like my when I was young when my parents switched over from like juice and stuff like that. So we drink water. So I've always been like water was always like the best thing. It's so refreshing. Like there's nothing like water, right? And I still stick with that. I know that I've seen you posting a lot of really beautiful mocktails, and because I've taken some of your like ideas for that, I'm like, oh, let me try this. Like, it was an electrolyte drops or something like to add in my water. So like it's fun stuff you can do there. But yeah, I know just good water is good water
Yes.
and good water, right? Not just bottled water. But anyways, that's a whole nother conversation I get into about the water. All right. So what is a dream vacation spot that's on maybe your bucket list? Do you have any plans for anything coming up? Any new adventures?
Well, Bali used to be my favorite place, and I've heard that it's too overcrowded now, and so I
Oh,
have to kind of we have to avert. So my husband and I, well, we're planning a trip to Bali, and then also in the near future. So not this year, but we're gonna have he has his sabbatical coming, and so we're thinking of like where is that going to be for 3 weeks, right? Like
nice.
um Greece, Italy. I've never been to Greece or Italy, so I want to hit that and then just sit on an island that is apparently, again, Bali was my favorite. I love, love, love. I had such an amazing time. The trips I took to Bali, and I did went for work and was able to source some amazing products from there and put them in the market here in store. I had like 150 department stores that I bought for. And so, but Bali, I've never been to Egypt or Australia. So those are
Okay.
two. Mhm.
Fun. I love it. Okay. And then lastly, what is a favorite book that you're reading right now or a podcast that you're listening to that you would recommend to somebody?
Hmm. I tend to have a very short attention span, which is why I wrote a very short book. But podcasts right now, I love Lewis House. I love
Mm.
he's somebody that I listen to regularly, and then Ed Milet. So and there's also Dr. Tyna. Dr. Tina is incredible for her medical
Yeah,
um just awareness and educating women on their hormone health, on their muscle, on their metabolic health system. I love, love, love her. And I love the way she is so relatable. And so, yeah, those are three of my faves.
I love it. Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing of mine is like women and metabolic health. Like it's again, things that we are finally getting some good information around, right? Like for
Finally.
that next phase of life, menopause, perimenopause, all those things, right? Postmenopause is like the importance of still like the metabolic part of it. Anyway, I love it. Yeah. So again, we could go on to that for a whole nother hour on that one.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do another one.
So Shannon, where can people find you if they wanted to reach out to you or get connected with you, the work that you're doing, how can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, your coach, Shannon P, SHANNONP. And then on Facebook, I believe I'm the same. So Shannon Perry on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel, but I haven't done a lot because I'm working on a second book right now. So I've been focusing on that. It's more of devotional, so that'll be a lot more interactive too. And so yeah, the Instagram, private message me, and we'll get any and all things going with health, and
I love
it
it.
all starts with the gut health.
I love it. Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so, yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Like it's been a pleasure chatting with you. And yeah, maybe we can do another one in the future because this is a topic that is going to continue to be something that needs to be shared. So I love it. I love the work that you're doing. And yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, guys, remember every choice that you make leaves a mark.
Mm.
So make those choices wisely, right? Because your most iconic life is not waiting out there in the someday somehow. We only have this current moment, this right now. We do not know the days that we have. So it's important that we choose and create from the right now. We choose truth, we choose joy, and just keep choosing what God has placed in your heart, right? So, if today's conversation has stirred something inside of you, if you're feeling that call, please let us know. Send us a message, tag us on Facebook, Instagram, social media, whatever. But share this with a friend if you think this could be helpful. Leave us a review. That's really awesome because it helps to get our message out there even stronger and help us spread this movement of women and men who are living, leading, and loving their lives and walking in that divine purpose. So I will see you back here next time.